and I was thinking, who are some top suitors for Brandon Aiyuk? Obviously we've been hearing rumors about him for a while, but I was thinking, like, what would a deal look like? What are some top suitors in your mind? And what could the 49ers get for Brandon Aiyuk, their breakout receiver in a sense this year?
I hear you. Yeah, it's been a hot topic, because as we know, the 49ers are up against the cap. Are they going to be able to extend Brandon Aiyuk?
Yeah.
It remains to be seen. Okay. If they want to push a bunch of money down the road, they could probably make it happen, but it's going to come with a cost when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to future cap hits. But when I'm looking at the talent that is Brandon, so I would not trade him this offseason, Ben. I want to keep him at least for one more season because he is under team control next off season as well when he'll be under his 5th year option. So
Yeah.
you could trade him then. That's what I think. I would rather go that route as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
trade him this off season. And that's because Brandon Ayuk's just a really talented player. I want him on my team for one more season. And if I can't pay him, then next off season potentially. And here's what I think the Niners could get back for him if they did trade him. And I'm thinking it's a second round pick, Ben.
Okay.
You look at some trades previously, right? Like DeForest Buckner, right? DeForest Buckner's an all pro D tackle. I think he has more trade stock than Brandon. He commanded 1 first round pick.
Yeah.
So I got Roquan Smith was traded. I want to say that was for a second round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I want to say that was for a second
It
round pick.
was
So
like
you're
a second to the sixth, I think.
Yeah, second and a sixth, second and a fifth, something like that.
Yeah.
So that is about, and the circumstances there, those two players hadn't gotten paid yet. So those are the similar circumstances.
Right.
That's why I'm kind of making those comparisons. So similar to Roquan, that second round pick, that's what I would see the 49ers getting in return. And let me tell you, I got a few teams for you because I was looking at some depth charts trying to figure out, okay, what team can use a receiver like Brandon Aiyuk, this emerging stud? Is he a superstar, Ben? I don't know. I don't know if he's a superstar
Yeah.
receiver. Like he's a good receiver. Okay, but here's some teams that popped out at me as potential trade candidates for Aiyuk. The Giants, we know he liked the tweet of the Giants, right? That was kind of the
Right.
easy one. They've added some weapons. I believe they brought back Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
Um, they've added a couple guys, but Brandon Aiyuk would obviously entice them. But also the Texans,
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans, we know he went to Houston and he was with Brandon Aiyuk for years. So if he says, hey, if he pounds the table that he wants Brandon Aiyuk, they're kind of void of weapons. They
Yes.
traded away Brandon Cooks. So I thought the Texans could be a potential fit. I got a couple more teams, or did you want to jump in with the team,
I
Ben?
mean, I would say the Steelers. That's a team that they
Oh,
need. Yeah, Deontay Johnson. He's a good receiver, but for a while, I mean, you have Deontay Johnson, George
and
Pickens,
yeah, Pickens.
but you need a guy over the middle. You need a guy that Kenny Pickett. I mean, I just think that the system fits Brandon Aiyuk. What the 49ers have been doing is a lot of what the Steelers do. I think, obviously, if you're Kenny Pickett is a young, talented quarterback. And the Steelers, I think, are going to go in the draft and get a tackle, and they're going to improve their offensive line through the draft. So you need another receiver. The passing game's been a huge weakness of the Steelers, and basically all defenses have to do is load the box and stop Najee Harris. I mean, and their offense has
That's
been
what they've been
terrible
doing. Yeah, Najee
for
he had a
years.
disappointing year last
He did.
season. Teams were loading the box. I don't think the offensive line was quite opening things up
No.
like they had hoped. But absolutely, okay, Steelers. How about the
Chiefs.
tight? Oh, the Chiefs. The Chiefs. I have heard that, and that's one team, man. I would not really want to trade
Oh,
Brandon
man.
Ayuk to the Chiefs. I don't want the Chiefs to get even better. So that's one team, unless they
Yeah.
blow me away by far and they have the best trade offer that's just dominates all of other offers. Then you got to take it at that point, right, Ben?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not want to send him to Kansas City.
I think at this point, you say the Tennessee Titans. That's a really
The
good
Titans,
one.
that was the team I was going to say.
Okay.
The
What's
Titans,
what's your take on them? Because that's interesting. That's a team that, yeah, that's another one. So,
I just think they need another weapon. We know they traded
oh yeah,
away AJ Brown, and that team, they're void of some talent at the receiver
yeah,
position. So that's where I got that. And then Rand Carthon went there. So same thing.
yeah.
He's got those 49er ties. So if he wants to pound the table, says, hey, Brandon Aiyuk, that's the guy we need. He could make it happen. That's the GM. And then the last team I thought that could potentially make a play is the New England Patriots.
Right.
The Patriots, I think Brandon Aiyuk is a kind of a player that they would want to acquire. Uh, so yeah, Pats, another team that they got some decent receivers. What Devontae Parker's over there. They lost
I
they lost Jacoby
the
Myers.
but I think they got a guy to replace him. I off the
They
top of
got
my
they
head, I
drafted Tyquan Thornton, the
okay.
speedster, but he's still kind of a question mark. Like Ayuk, you know what you're going to get with Ayuk, and so
Here's
anyway, yeah. Let me hear it.
here's the thing with this Patriots. They're high enough in the draft. They're at 14. They can probably maybe make a run at Jackson Smith Najigba. They're high enough in the draft where they could draft a receiver there. But you're talking about teams like the Titans. Well, I guess the Titans are at 11,
You know
so they could
what,
also
Ben?
make
Sorry
a
to cut you off.
draft
I
a
feel
receiver.
like
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
the Patriots have been atrocious at drafting the wide receiver position.
That's true. That
If I'm remembering off history,
yeah,
and N'Keal Harry comes to mind. But if I'm remembering, they've kind of botched their wide receiver draft picks. So it might make sense to kind of get a known commodity in
yeah.
Ayuk. Um, but
You're right there.
yeah,
Well, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
no, that was it. That was all I got.
Okay. I think with this trade in general, I think if you're the 49ers, you could potentially get a conditional first round pick. Because here's my reasoning for it. Okay. You've got all these teams in demand for this receiver. And these teams look at the 49ers system and they say, this guy was clearly blanketed by super highly paid targets outside of him, George Kittle, Debo Samuel. So you look at that and you're saying, okay, we can make him our free feature receiver and we can get him a lot of targets. And now he turns into an elite receiver in the league. So they're kind of looking at, and the 49ers know that too. So if you're trading Brandon Aiyuk and there are a ton of suitors for him, you're almost having a bidding war between these teams. And I think you could probably get it possibly as high as a conditional, maybe first round pick for next year. I think it's very, very possible in that way.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's not far fetched. I said second round pick, conditional first. That's not too far away. So
Yeah.
we're on this in the same ballpark in terms of what we think Ayuk's compensation, especially, you know what, Ben, if they did pull the trigger on that now,
Mm-hmm.
teams would pay more because they're getting 2 years of team control on Ayuk before they would have to extend him, right? So
Yeah.
it just gives them some more control, and I think that would kind of give the Niners some extra trade equity.
I mean, they need it. They need it. They could definitely use